I have not heard from anybody not coming, so,
Ellie's not coming.
okay. So we'll wait for one more and then we'll go.
Honestly, just being in here now with a bunch of stuff stripped, it's a very different vibe already, I have to say.
Show
We're
a
all
picture of
in
the
for a big
carpeting,
treat.
Doug? Can you show a
What'd you say,
picture of the
Dean?
carpeting or no?
Say that one more time.
Is there a way to show a picture of the carpeting?
Wait, a little teaser, if you will. Hang
Yes.
on.
Nice.
Oh,
I don't know what you see, Jim, but it is a
it's
nice.
darker. It's definitely darker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dean, are the
I-
pictures of the previous councils going up in the old frames?
Yes, well, Doug and I are gonna work on better frames so that everything is neat, organized. Some of the things that were on the wall, we probably will not put back up. We're gonna be very, I guess, selective. We'll keep everything that was in there, but we'll be selective. We want to make sure, of course, we have the mayor and council pictures going up, that they're in good frames. Doug has been in contact with Ray Turkin, correct, Doug? And
Yeah.
working on a few things as well.
Nice.
Yeah, you know, honestly, it gets pretty lonely in here on meeting nights.
5-star was nice this morning.
It was
Nice
cool.
event.
Great event. Yeah, great event.
Oh, yeah. How did that go? Did that go good?
Really good.
The food was delicious too.
I think Mark is waiting to come in, Doug.
Yeah, wait. He does the constant hand raise. Up, down, up, down. Deputy Mayor Schwartz, happy Thursday.
Was his birthday yesterday?
Oh,
Oh,
happy
wow.
birthday,
Yes,
Deputy.
happy belated birthday, sorry.
This is actually, this isn't a budget meeting. It's a surprise party for you.
Mhm.
All right. Mark is here. So is Bill. So we have enough. So we're ready to go. So Doug, let me know.
Absolutely, Mayor. You can call the meeting to order.
Okay. Calling the meeting to order. Please stand for the
I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag
United
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it
allegiance.
stands, one nation,
To the
under
republic.
God,
Justice.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor, you were lagging a bit there, but we heard
Oh,
you.
okay. All right.
Councilwoman Romney Rice, Councilman Bagan,
Here,
Councilwoman Organ,
Here.
Councilman Kaplan just raised his hand. I'm bringing him in now. Deputy Mayor Schwartz,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Katz, Mayor
Here.
Dunleavy.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by resolution number 265-2021, sending a copy to the newspapers officially designated for 2022 by way of resolution number 4-2022, filing a copy in the township clerk's office and posting it on the municipal building bulletin board. And the mayor hereby directs that this statement be included in the minutes.
Thank you, Doug. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Township Budget Meeting. Tonight, we have present Dean Kaczynski, our Township Manager, Doug Roussillon, Township Clerk, Ron Goodman, our volunteer cablecaster, Clarence Barnes, Building Maintenance, and our pinch hitter from the law firm of Trent Isabel, Siddiqui and Shandanian, Bill Rupp, and our CFO, Isa Abasi, I believe is here. Just so the public knows, the council did not meet in closed session this evening prior to this meeting. And the next televised council meeting will take place on Tuesday, April 5th, 2022 at 7 p.m. Now, before we move into good and welfare, I do have one item that I have to mention, because we did, some of us have discussions offline with respect to changing the start time for the meeting on April 26th, that we wanted to start that meeting at 6:30. So if I do not have any objection, we will make sure that we have a resolution drawn up for the meeting on the 5th to reflect that change. Is there any objection? Okay, hearing none, we'll move forward.
I think the mayor
At
is
this
lagging
public
a
for
little
good
bit.
and welfare and public input.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I just think that you're lagging here and there a little bit, but I received your comment about the resolution. We will have that for the 5th.
Councilwoman Rice, if you can let her in.
Oh, yes, I see it right now. Thank you, Mr. Manager.
And Doug, what I'll do, in case you lose me, I'll move to a different part of the room, because obviously I'm having a problem here, okay?
Yep, got it. And as the mayor said, our general good and welfare portion is now open. You have 3 minutes. If you are unable to fit your comments within the 3 minutes allotted, please send me, your township clerk, Doug Roussillon, at clerk@tnecnj.gov, your thoughts, comments, and I'll be sure to distribute those to council. And the first person we are bringing in this evening is Alan Sohn.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. 1 second. I apologize. Yes, sir. Loud and clear. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. It's always good to be able to speak without being censored. You can learn a lot about corrupt politicians from the crimes they commit, and as well from the lies they tell. The founding lie of this current council goes back to a $900 contribution made by a politician to the Moving Teaneck Forward slate of Pagan, Organ, and Schwartz. On their first day in office back in July 1st, this council voted to grant a $20,000 contract to the Nishawin Group, whose principal made that $900 contribution. No one knew it existed at the time. It wasn't until January 21, more than 6 months later, that Moving Teaneck Forward and its disgraced treasurer, Gerald Reiner, were forced to file amended reports that showed that the contribution had been made. Finally being taken to task for this corrupt pay-to-play deal, Mayor Dunleavy brazenly insisted that there was no contract ever reached with the Nishawin Group. The problem is that there is and was a contract reached with the Nishawin Group in which they were agreed to pay $20,000. That contract was signed by the mayor based on something that he'd done his first day in office. That was the lie. Township Attorney John Shadanian lied to Judge Wilson during a hearing where he was claiming that township residents should not be able to put an item on the ballot. And he insisted to the judge that there was no reason that this should be on the ballot because the council had never been given an opportunity to express their opinion on the May to November switch. That was an outright lie. They had already commented many, many times. But remember, far worse is the fact that Township Attorney John Shadanian had taken and submitted thousands of dollars in illegal billing for work on Oprah litigation that was specifically excluded by his retainer agreement. Mayor Dunleavy has started censoring residents at hearings, either directly censoring remarks made that directly address the ordinances in question and that match exactly those questions asked by other individuals, and has gone so far as to just simply stop residents from speaking, which is the worst kind of censorship. The claim was made by Councilman Kaplan that, well, it's okay because this was not at Good and Welfare. But it was at a planning board meeting where Chair Bodner, during Good and Welfare at a planning board meeting, censored me for asking a simple question: where is the mayor? Chair Bodnar had been present when Keith Kaplan viciously attacked a group of women and accused them of being racists. And there are other attacks that are similarly available and recorded without any censorship, without any criticism, without any chiming in. It is incredibly important that we have a council that is not only listening, that is not only paying attention, and not only not committing crimes, but not lying about it. Just have some measure of honesty. Say what you do, admit when you've been wrong, and pay the.
Mr. Sohn, the 3 minutes were up. You have my email, sir. Please feel free to send me an email and I'll be sure that it gets to council. I'm now bringing in Gail. Whenever you were ready. When I promote you to panelists, you need to accept the invitation that pops up on the screen. Gail, whenever you're ready. Please unmute whenever you're ready, Gail.
Hello.
Hi, Gail.
Hi,
Please state your
everyone.
name for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Gail Gordon.
You got it.
Now I'm talking because I'd like to speak about the budget, but I can't speak about the budget because there's no information on the budget. So it's hard for me to understand why we are opening to good and welfare unless I just don't know about sources of information that are out there, but I don't have access to. So how can we talk about the budget if we don't know what to talk about? Now I've spoken to the new library director and I'm very impressed with her. And I think that the township really does support the library. But I think that she has some good ideas that would be great to be funded. So, but I don't know what you're planning to do with the library budget. So I think this is just another example in Teaneck of lack of transparency and keeping information from the public. Like, how can we have an impact on the budget? I don't see any way we can unless we write to you afterwards. Well, maybe you can tell me how I can have an impact on the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon. I am now bringing in Chuck Powers. Sorry, I'm having a little, Zoom's moving a little slow over here. Hello, sir, 3 minutes.
I like Gail Gordon, have been struggling to get enough information about this budget process to be able to make significant comment. I would very much appreciate if before you folks go into the presentation of the several departments you are going to hear tonight, if the manager would explain sort of what now is the process from this meeting going forward. I believe this may be your last budget meeting. How is it that this council will be actually debating questions? One of the extraordinary things is that even though you were approving last week a entirely new firm, in fact, a new person rather than a firm as your counsel, you had no questions to ask of an attorney who provided absolutely no information about the new firm that apparently Mr. Rupp, if he finishes his dinner tonight, will be able to explain to us. I would hope that he might. But what is the process from here? And how does that relate to the guidelines and the requirements for completion of this work in time to be timely with the state's requirements. I'd appreciate much more clarity about that than we've had. I believe the only place where that's even been addressed to this point is in the PowerPoint. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Oh, sorry about that. Thank you, sir, for these comments. I am now bringing in Ken Hoffman. Ken Hoffman, whenever you are ready.
Hey, Doug, I did this in less than a minute. It's not bad. There we go. Well, I'm going to take a different approach because as chair of the Parks Playground Recreation Advisory Board, and as well as the Municipal Open Space Trust Fund Advisory Board, I want to thank Mayor Jim Dunleavy, the members of council, and Township Manager Kaczynski in their interactions with both of these advisory boards as we were discussing the budget and continue to discuss the budget for the upcoming 2022-2023 year. You have all heard of our concerns. You have listened to our requests, and that will continue during the rest of the budgeting season. And in fact, as far as I'm concerned, that's what makes TNEC great, because our respective advisory board members have all been positively pleased with the interactions and how you've taken our requests and recommendations to heart. You may not agree with many of them, some you do, but I wanted to thank you all for all of your time and effort on behalf of the township and for listening to our members who feel that they are doing an important job in helping our township move forward. And congratulations, Bill, on joining the new firm. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We will bank your other 2 minutes. I see one other hand here, Mayor. I think it's Gail from before. Gail, I believe only each resident can only speak once during good and welfare. If there's any other comments, you can obviously email me, clerk@tnecnj.gov, and I will be sure to get those comments over to the council. So, Mayor, you could close the good and welfare whenever you're ready. You're muted, sir.
Sorry. You hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good and welfare is now closed. I'll ask if any members of council or the manager has anything they wish to say. Councilmember Organ, Councilmember Rice.
Just to answer Ms. Gordon, the budget, everything that we're looking at is online on the township website. To answer Dr. Powers, the 3 budget meetings have been on the calendar. And then we will vote on the budget at the next council meeting, right, Dean?
Yes.
And just to Dr. Powers, that comment about Mr. Rupp and snarky and uncalled for. If you want answers and you want consideration, then you shouldn't speak like that. It was rude.
Councilmember Rice.
Yes, I'm sure the township manager is probably going to answer some of the questions, and also just wanted to reiterate, basically was going to say the same thing that Karen Organ said. I think we're always trying to improve areas of transparency. So anything that we could possibly do to improve access to the information, note the information, I hope that we would try to do that, because as Karen said, the information is available on the website, but perhaps we can try to improve visibility, access, but it is available. So perhaps the township manager can answer some of the other questions that were asked.
Dean, do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, just a couple things. I just want everyone to know that my office has received absolutely no calls for information about difficulties with ascertaining information on the budget. We've been commended, the township has been commended by other municipalities on the girth of information that we put out to the public, the PowerPoint presentation, the budget book, all of which are on the township's website. It can be found there. Gail, if you have any difficulties navigating, certainly call my office. I'll I'll get you through it and answer any questions you have with the budget. You know, we start this process, this is nothing new. We start this process in late August, September, with the department heads getting their operation budgets. In November, we have the open public department budget meetings. That's open to any member of the public. Generally yields 1 or 2 people. You know, I did my presentation to council, the PowerPoint presentation a few weeks back. We have several budget meetings scheduled. We did 4 or 5 departments last week, 4 or 5 this week. What we will need to do is have a 1 or 2 budget subcommittee meetings, and one is actually scheduled tomorrow. So this process has not changed. We will introduce the budget, the 2022 budget, at the April 26th meeting, not the April 5th meeting. And we will adopt the budget at the May 16th meeting. So nothing has changed. You know, again, the timeline, you know, we go off the local finance notice dates that the state provides us on when the budget needs to be introduced by and adopted by. So really nothing has changed. Again, we put out, I dare anyone to go to another municipality and compare what we do and what we put out to the public with information on our budget. We're head and heels above everyone else.
Councilmember Kaplan, do you have your hand?
Yeah, I just wanted to briefly respond. You know, normally I try to ignore such things, but it seems like there's no end to these types of comments. For Ms. Gordon, if you go to tnecnj.gov/budgets, you will find all of the documents for every year, and you can click on 2022 and see the budget there. The township has gone out of its way to make things easy to come by. You can go to tnecnj.gov/snow to see snow information, /leaves to see leaf pickup information, /budgets to see budget information. We have tried to make it as easy as possible to remove any friction for the public getting information. But more than just being able to go there and get information, all of our contact info is on the website. You can hit us by Facebook, phones. The deputy mayors are constantly giving out cell phone numbers. We are here 24/7, 365 because we're your neighbors and we live in Teaneck. And part of the nice thing about not being, you know, President Biden or Governor Murphy, who you can never get a hold of, you can literally get a hold of us all the time. And you don't have to wait until the Thursday of a budget meeting to ask where the budget is. If you know that the budget meeting is tonight, you can, you know, contact us ahead of time and say, hey, where's a copy of that budget? I'd be happy to send you the link, you know, 2 days ago, so you can have plenty of time. And it behooves everyone to do that because we would love to get pointed questions about why is this account have this number? That's, you know, a much better use of good and welfare. And, you know, when it comes to the other comments, Councilwoman Organ is absolutely right, of course, but there's a certain animosity that can be exhibited during public comments. And of course, you have the right to do it. But, you know, we have a right to do lots of things in our country. Whether or not you should is a separate matter. And I really wonder if the people that get up here and constantly make unfounded accusations truly think that it's the best use of their time or the best use of the public's time, because that's really what good and welfare is for. It's the good and welfare of our community. Think about what you're doing. Think about how you're coming across and whether you're trying to win hearts and minds of anybody or if you're just trying to sling mud. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor, and let's get on with the budget.
Thank you, Councilmember. And I just have one question for Dean. Dean, if I recall in speaking with you, has not Mr. Powers been at almost every one of those open meetings in the fall where the budget is discussed and the process is discussed for many years?
Yes, he's one of the 1 or 2 that I mentioned, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I would think he has a very good handle on the process. Okay, so at this point, I think, Dean, we're going to be
Sure.
giving it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. And let's see, Doug, just bring in Glenna Crockett first.
Dean, are you ready to bring in Glenna?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Glenna. I was on the phone with her. I didn't recognize the name that she had. But yeah, I see her. I'm bringing her in now.
So Mayor, we'll do recreation first. That'll be followed by the library, engineering, manager, council, clerk, capital. But what I'll do with these individual departments as we go over them, when we're done with their operations, we'll cover their capital as well, items that we included in the capital budget. And Glenna, you're on. Just got to unmute.
Okay. I'm
Okay,
on.
thanks. Yeah, thanks, Glenna. So just let me say this first to the mayor and council, and then Glenna, I'll give you an opportunity to discuss a little bit about recreation, your 2022 budget. In 2021, the township budgeted $522,560 for recreation. And this can be found on page 123 of your budget book for the council members. The recreation department is under account 370. In 2022, we're budgeting $384,155. That's actually a decrease of about 26.5% or 138,000. And really the cause for that is, if you remember, we put $200,000 in last year's budget for the swim club, the possibility of entering into an agreement with the swim club. So that's the big difference. It's not there. It's not there this year. There's about, I guess, 16 sub accounts that cover a plethora of items. Again, if you go along to page 124, that covers account 201, which is all the recreation programs. Again, the big decrease was due to taking out that 200,000 from sub-account 201. But this covers all the senior youth activities in sub-account 201. So Glenna is asking for 81,000. I'm asking for $81,745 to cover all of these particular programs in sub-account 201. If you move on to sub-account 210, which covers equipment and supplies, that's up about $3,500, and that's just a general increase in cost for supplies. So really no change with that. We're asking for $55,800 for 2022, and 2021 we adopted $52,300. Just moving to sub-account 211, which is on page 127, that covers printing and office supplies. That's we're seeing a slight decrease in that account. We adopted a little over 11,000 in 2021. 2022, we're asking for 10,500 to cover all printing and office supply expenses. Sub-account 212, which is also on page 127, that's remaining flat at 15,000. That's all your school-based youth programs. Next page is 128, sub-account 214, which is your professional affiliation and travel expenses. That's down by about $165. So that's only, we're only asking for $1,640 in 2022. And that covers, again, association dues, any sort of state conference expenses. Sub-account 219, which is also on page 128, covers all miscellaneous items, state license renewals, van cleaning supplies, music agreements, youth staff training. And in 2021, we adopted $3,150. This is going up about $200 to just cover some increased costs. So we're asking for $3,350 in 2022. So no major change with that sub-account. 220 on the next page, which is 129. Sub-account 220 covers your summer camp programs. In 2021, we adopted $39,860. In 2022, we're asking for $72,760. Glenn, you want to go over that increase for council?
Sure. We recently licensed our sports and arts camp, and we have no idea exactly what the state mandate is going to be as far as having individual supplies. So we want to bring in some more special events to make it more interesting for the older children.
Okay. So again, in 2021, it was $39,860 for sub-account 220. In 2022, we're asking for $72,760. That's an increase of a little over $38,000 for the reasons that Ms. Crockett just explained. Sub-account 230, which is also on page 129. Those are your portable toilets in the parks. In 2021, we did 18,600. 2022, we're asking for 27,000. Glenna, we're putting some more portable toilets out, and I'm assuming there's an increase in expenses as well for that.
Yeah, there's an increase in costs, and we are putting some more toilets in various parks for
Okay.
longer durations.
Okay. I know there were some requests, if I remember right, to keep them there year round as well.
Yes.
Okay, page 130 covers sub-account 231, which is recreation equipment. That's going up slightly. 2021, we only adopted $2,070. 2022, we're looking at $2,370. Just covers your general recreation equipment, piano tuning, the lightning detection system, pool tables, etc. So really no major change with that account. 240, sub-account 240, which is on page 130 as well, covers your holiday events. 2021, we adopted a little over 20,000. 2022, we're asking for 22,400. Again, just some slight increase in the cost for some of the bands that we use for 4th of July, wreaths for Memorial Day and Veterans Day. So there's an increase of about 1,900 for sub-account 240. The next page, which is 131, covers sub-account 249. That's your movies in the park. We budgeted 5,500 in 2021. We went over on that account last year by almost $200. This year, we're putting in $6,000. The cost to show the movies has certainly increased, but this is something that the public likes. We want to continue this program for the movies in the park. So that's sub-account 249. Sub-account 250, which is also on page 131, is your building maintenance and equipment. 2021, we adopted a little over 27,000. 2022, we're asking for almost 36,000, an increase of about 8,800. And these are all increases due to really the cost of living right now. Everything has gone up. Well, and there's nothing new with this building maintenance other than the cost for services going up.
Correct.
251 is your cleaning service. We budgeted a little over 35,000 in 2021. We're asking for 36,000 in 2022. This is the cleaning of all the bathrooms, water fountains, and they're generally performed after all the maintenance is done after midnight. So just a slight increase for sub-account 251, which can be found on page 132. Sub-account 270, which is also on page 132, covers registration materials. That's an account that's staying staying flat. That's your in-ground pool materials, above ground pool, tennis badges, guest passes, application forms. So sub-account 270 is remaining flat at $4,450. And the last account for recreation is 280, which covers uniforms. That's remaining flat at 9,200. And that just covers all your program shirts for the assorted programs, summer staff uniform shirts, lifeguard and driver uniforms. So that covers recreation. Again, in 2021, we budgeted $522,560. In 2022, we're keeping it at $384,155. Again, the big decrease again is the $200,000 that we had in 2021 that's not in the 2022 budget. So Glenn, would you like to say a few words about your budget, recreation, programs, everything going on?
Everything is going on. We're increasing our participation based on current COVID-19 restrictions. So we're trying to get back to some type of normalcy. So we're trying to have the adequate monies for the supplies that are needed for every program.
All right, great. Let's cover your capital expenses for 2022. So I want to let council know, we really took a lot of time discussing these items that we felt were important for recreation. Certainly would love to have some more things done, but there were some restrictions this year. So what we did in capital for 2022 for parks, playground, and recreation improvements, we're putting $50,000 in for fence repair. We're always repairing our fences for various reasons, and we always put that money into capital. One of the items that I've been asked to do the last couple of years is consider the prefab bathrooms in Voti Park North. So that is listed for 2022 at a cost of $300,000. Also, what I'm doing this year, Andreas Park, the tennis courts. We want to make a dedicated pickleball court in town. I know we did the hybrid at Hawthorne Park, the new courts there, tennis and pickleball, but we're going to make a dedicated pickleball court, and that will be located at the Andreas Park where the tennis courts are now. And that comes at an expense of $200,000. A digital duplicator, and Glenna, can you just explain that? That's $15,000.
Right, we make copies for all of our program flyers, and our current machine is at least 8 to 10 years old. So it's kind of like on its last leg.
Okay. And the last item for recreation is I have $1 million in there, and that will supplement Teaneck Southern Little League, and that will include 2 renovations to the major field, the minor field, field turf, stadium seating, lights, and we have a supplemental source that will be used to offset that cost. So we would need to put about $1 million into capital to renovate those 2 fields with field turf, fencing, scoreboards, LED lights, stadium seating. It'll look like really like Williamsport. Those are familiar with Williamsport Little League Field and Williamsport, that's what it's going to look like. And we have other monies that we're going to use to supplement this project, which is probably going to run $2.9 million to $3 million. So that's what we have for 2022 capital. Now, I don't know if council's had a chance to look at the 6-year capital improvement plan with other items for recreation. And you can see in 2023, really the big ticket item for 2023 is $3 million, and that would be for the replacement of the Voti Park pool. So that's something that needs to get done. I think we can certainly get by this year and next year with the current pool that's in place, but we're at a point in time we have to make that decision to completely replace that pool, and at a cost of about $3 million. I see Mark's hand up, or you have a headache? I'm not sure.
I have a hand up. My son was just telling me last week, he went to Phelps, no tennis courts available. He went to Purdue, no tennis courts available. He went to Argonne, and there was only one available. We have a shortage of tennis courts, and in general, we have a shortage of money in life. Do we really want to spend $200 grand converting one of those desperately needed tennis courts to like pickle something or other? Has anyone on this Zoom, has any council member played pickleball in their life? Does anyone know anyone that's played pickleball in life?
Technically, yes.
Keith, you didn't play. Keith, you didn't play pickleball. Keith, we know you don't play pickleball.
Mark, I'm entering that phase of life where, yeah, pickleball may be the option.
I don't even know what pickleball is, but I do know what $200,000 is. And can we just play it at
Hawthorne? They have a wonderful, beautiful court, which I don't think I've ever seen used.
Councilmember Rice.
That was going to also be my question. I know we talked about pickleball, I guess, last year's budget, but just, can we get a sense of the demand for it? Is this something that, perhaps the seniors play? Is there indeed a demand? That was one of the questions that I had. The other question about, I'm glad, Dean, you mentioned about the Teaneck Southern, that there would be a lot of additional funds, basically about $1.9 million that comes from additional sources. So the township is only coming up with $1 million. Another point, Voti Park, I know it's part of the 6-year plan, $3 million, and we've taken up the 200,000. Is there any way that we would revisit the idea of the Teaneck Swim Club? Is that totally off the table? Is that something that we could look at in terms of a consolidation effort to take advantage of that township property that is on lease to the swim club? That could be a potential option. Just curious to know if that was something that was considered in terms of the pool. So just all my content, my questions.
I apologize. I cut out and I didn't catch anything that Deputy Mayor Schwartz mentioned, and I caught most of what Councilwoman Rice mentioned. So I apologize.
I'm not sure if that's sarcasm. Is that sarcasm?
No, I cut out.
On purpose.
That was definitely on purpose. I'm about to I'm gonna make a motion for zero budget.
Yeah, stop. Mark raised the question about whether or not we really need to spend the money to do another pickleball court. That was right. That's the gist of what you said, Mark.
Yeah, and I led up with that, asking, was there a demonstrated need, to justify that there's, perhaps if it's seniors or young folks that people are seeking out pickleball.
I think pickleball is, from the feedback I'm getting, is very popular, especially with the senior population that want to get involved in some sort of outside activity. Glenna, do you want to comment at all on this? I know I've gotten a bunch of calls.
Yeah,
we received a dedicated court.
Yes, we received several complaints from the public because they have to play out of town and they would like to have a dedicated court in town where they can play and have their friends come to their town and play pickleball.
Now, the hybrid that we did at Hawthorne Park, it's a good facility, but Glenna, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the net height, because it's a hybrid, is not what it should be as well.
That's correct.
So again, it's in the budget. It's something we can discuss with the budget subcommittee as well. If council's not satisfied keeping it a dedicated pickleball court, we can make it into a hybrid as well.
I can tell you that the PPRAB has had this on their agenda for a number of years, with people telling them that they wanted an expansion of pickleball courts somewhere in town, and that has been pretty much of a constant at those meetings. So there are people out there who want to play.
Dean?
Yes.
One of the things that has been happening at our tennis courts, people are not observing the 1 hour or less if people are waiting. So that is one of the things that is occurring at our tennis courts that we might have to address with some type of intervention from either the police department or get a dedicated person there at the tennis courts to make sure that they're changing on the hour if people are waiting.
Okay, this is at Voti, Glenna?
It's at Voti and at Phelps.
Okay, we'll have a discussion in the morning with that.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Kaplan.
A couple of points in no particular order. I noticed, Glenna, in account 211, the duplicator paper for flyers, brochures number was at 4,500 as it was last year. And in account 270, applications forms was at 750 as it was last year. I wanted to know, I've been told that we're going to be utilizing Rec Pro more robustly in order to have people be able to see electronically, reserve spots electronically, pay electronically, and do various things. What will the impact to the budget be for using the more advanced features in RecPro, and will there be any savings? The second point I wanted to make, and I don't know if you want to answer them as they come or hear everything first, but
Well, let me answer that. A lot
Sure.
of people frequent the Rhoda Center. We have upwards of 300 to 500 people coming in and out of the Rhoda Center every day. And our flyers are just one way of advertising our programs, as well as the website. So people are always looking for things and want to take papers home to discuss with their families on what's available.
That's why we have flyers, which is great. But I wanted to know the impact on the budget for having RecPro and being able to do all these things. Will it be an increase in the budget? Will there be a decrease? Is it neutral? What do you expect when, or do you expect that people will be able to electronically be able to utilize signups for all these programs, the payments and whatnots, and what will the effect on the budget be for everyone interacting electronically with the RADA Center as opposed to manually?
I don't think there's going to be that much of an impact on the budget itself. People will be happy to register online for their programs because, you know, they're working every day and discussing it with their family, what they choose to do. So until we can see, you know, concrete evidence of how it's going to impact, I really can't answer that question.
Okay. As far as the time for the various tennis courts, I mean, I live by the park and we're there all the time by Phelps. I do see people utilizing it, like Deputy Mayor Schwartz said. I think that signage is certainly a thing. If we could just put up signage that tells people it changes on the hour. I mean, look, the last thing I want are police officers coming to enforce 1 hour time limits. I think we can have recreation staff do that a bit better than our officers. I think they have better things to do with their time, but I'd like to see that worked out that way. The last point I wanted to bring up was about pickleball. I agree with Councilwoman Rice. I agree with Deputy Mayor Schwartz. Look, it's often said that budgets are about our priorities. We have, you know, I've advocated for a long time for an upgrade to our email system, which is quite antiquated. We're waiting on the website upgrade right now. $200,000 can fund a new email system for 10 years. That's, you know, I think a much higher priority than quite frankly, tennis courts that would get a lot of use right now, despite the increased need by some members of our community. I certainly understand it and appreciate it, but I think we need to keep an eye on what's best for the entire community. So I agree with them on that point.
And the, you know, we can engage in further discussions with the Teaneck Swim Club. You know, we did a few at the onset when we were having some problems with the pool, and we were not sure if we were going to be able to open up the pool. So, you know, that's certainly in the realms of possibilities to try to come to some sort of agreement with the swim club, but that's a work in progress. We have a little bit of time to do that. Time is on our side right now with this, but if we can't come to some sort of agreement, you know, I want to make sure that going into 2023, we have the monies allocated to get that project started.
Thank you, Dean, for answering that. And just to clarify, that is township owned property, correct?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilmember Organ?
Just looking at the 6-year plan, Argonne Park is not on here, and the residents who live nearby had a lot of comments about upgrades to the park. If we or the PPREB or the rec department could just reassess that over the next couple of years. Brooks Park is not on here, but it's a nice park. I think the residents had an issue with a path and an old fountain there. But Argonne, I think we might need to reassess.
Dean?
Yes, are you talking about the tennis courts, Councilwoman, with
No.
Oregon, or just the path?
No, at Brooks, it's a path that
Yep.
but Argonne, there were tennis courts there, but there's like an old sprinkler pad that's just, I think, dirty. There's a lot of room in Argonne for more. So I was wondering if we could just, not now, but since it's a 6-year plan, if we could just go back in there and take a look and see if there's anything that can be done there.
Well,
Dean,
yes, go ahead,
one of
Glenn.
the things for the sprinkler in Argonne, there was money in last year's budget to make that ADA compliant, as well as putting in the backflow system.
Right.
So that is one improvement that we were scheduled to do. And as far as Brooks is concerned, I believe with the road resurfacing, we're going to be doing that path. And we're in the process of getting pricing for replacing some of the water fountains that are in some of the parks.
Perfect. That'll make a lot of residents very happy. Thank you.
So what I had to do, again, trying to keep capital, it was difficult trying to keep it in that, $5.5 million area. One of my goals was every year to improve one of our municipal parks. When I say improve, new playground equipment, a new sprinkler pad, and I could not do that this year, and I cannot do it for 2023. But if you look at 24, 25, 26, we have Ammon Park, Mackle, MLK, Coolidge that we want to do all these upgrades. And it generally it's going to run us about 500,000. Who knows what the costs are going to be in 2024, maybe a little bit more. But I want to try to do one park every year so that, again, we have new playground equipment. We have these modified sprinkler systems, not as elegant as the splash pad of OT, but there would be a sprinkler system there to replace these old concrete sprinkler systems that are currently in place at a lot of these parks that have been there for decades. So I couldn't do it this year. If we're going to put $3 million for the OT Park pool in 2023, again, it's going to be a very tight capital budget, and I may have to make a decision in 23 whether or not we're going to put monies in there for road resurfacing. Maybe there's something else we get by 1 year, not putting 2 or 2.5 million in for road resurfacing. Maybe we get by not doing that for 23 and do it for another big project or two. So that's something we'll have to look at. Next year. But again, it is my goal to try to get one park done every year. We just can't do it. We just can't do it this year with the amount that's in capital right now.
Anyone else? Any other questions regarding rec? Okay. All right, Dean, let's move on.
Okay, next we have, thank you, Glenna.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Glenna.
Next, we have Shanae Hun from the library. Doug, if you can let Shanae in.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Glenna.
Thanks, Doug.
Shanae, long time no see.
Hi, Shanae. Thank you for coming on. So just to cover library council, this starts on page 134 of your budget book, and it's account 390. So last year in 2021, we adopted $454,269 for the library. This year, there's a 1.88% increase, and it brings everything to $462,830. There's about 10 different sub-accounts. We'll go over those, and then Shanae, I'll give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about your budget and needs. I just want to go over these sub-accounts. So on page 135, start sub-account 210, library materials, that is remaining flat at $272,500. That covers books, reference, children, materials, periodicals, microfilm, etc., and that's remaining flat. With sub-account 230 on the same page is repairs and maintenance, and that went up slightly by $1,000. 47,900 was the 2021 adopted budget. This year it's $48,900. That covers repairs, maintenance to the elevator, readers, printers, window washing, HVAC system, things to that nature, carpet cleaning, repairs, general repairs, the public bathroom maintenance. So again, that just went up by $1,000. Sub-account on page 136, 240, covers office supplies. That went up $3,000. In 2021, we budgeted $23,000. 2022, we're at $26,000, and that's for new printing and mail costs for the quarterly newsletter. So these prices are going up each year, especially this year. And with this account, you're seeing about a $3,000 increase. The sub-account 250 on page 136, janitorial supplies, that basically flat, going up $200 from $8,600 to $8,800. And that's just a projected fiscal year 22 increase due to the CPI at 2%. So that's at $8,800. Sub-account 260 on the same page 136, is postage. We budgeted $2,400 in 2021. We're only doing $2,000 in 2022, a decrease of $400. And this is really because of the decline in use of postal mailing services. So this went down about $400. The next page, 137, covers telephone under sub-account 270. We budgeted $5,800 in 2021. In 2022, we're budgeting $12,500. That's an increase of $6,700. It's really for a good purpose. And Shanae, you want to comment on sub-account 270?
So last year we installed outdoor Wi-Fi by the library, and if you look at the usage, it's getting used over 8,000 times a month. So we added another internet line for that Wi-Fi signal, and that's that. And we also added 10 more hotspots so that people can check out internet from the library. So we have total of 19 hotspots available for the residents, and those are constantly getting used. So this increase is to cover that cost.
All right, thank you so much, Shanae. So that's sub-account 270, and we're asking for $12,500. Moving on to sub-account 280, which is your equipment and contract services. This is remaining flat at $73,000. Covers database fees, technical processing, and delivery. So sub-account 280 again is flat at $73,000. Sub-account 290 is your education and training for the library. It's going down about $1,200. We budgeted $7,200 in 2021. 2022, we have it at $6,000. That's your association dues, seminars, meetings. So that's down again about $1,200. So that covers sub-account 290. On the next page, which is 138, that covers sub-account 292, which is your library programs. We budgeted $11,000 in 2021. 2022, we're asking for $10,000. And this covers expenditures for summer reading programs, lectures, STEM, and other various library programs. So that's down by $1,000. Sub-account 293 is the wagon gas and maintenance. That's flat at $250, and that vehicle is used for the local errands. You may see that car around. It's an old Ford Crown Victoria blue with the library emblem on its side. 294 is library insurance. That's slightly up by a couple $100 to $22,880. Last year we did $2,619, and that's 21 increase in 2022 increase in our insurance premium. So that covers the library budget again. In 2021, we adopted $454,269. 2022, Shanae is asking for $462,830. It's about a 1.88% increase, or $8,561. Shanae, would you like to comment about your budget?
Yes, so we're kind of focusing on our literacy program, and we're planning to circulate iPad for telehealth program, but we're getting grant for that one, so it's not really budgeted in this budget. Another one that I want to mention is that in our material budget, the budget line is the same, but allocation has been changed, so we're increasing our e-content line, so we're bringing a lot more databases and ebooks and e-audiobooks. Our maintenance is going up 4% this year. So there is a slight change. I'm not sure we're going to be able to cover that because we just renewed our contract. Another increase is from Buckle's fees. Buckle's approved to develop mobile app this year. So the fee is gonna be distributed by the population, by the membership, and that's getting increased by 5%. So other lines are pretty much the same. There are some projects that we have to pay for, and that's the increase that's included in the budget.
All right, thanks, Shanae. We're working on some grant opportunities with Millennium for the library, but we are, I believe, replacing your cooling tower soon. I believe that it was in a previous capital budget.
Yes, I'm working on it. Because of the inflation, the estimates got extremely higher. So we have to review and start the process again and see if we can use the other capital funding that's assigned for the library to cover that cost.
Okay. All right, great. That's all I have, Shanae. Council, any questions for Shanae?
Any questions? Councilmember Rice? You're muted.
Sorry about that. Sorry. Shanae, I just wanted to say thank you for coming tonight and welcome to budget season. I know this is your first budget and we're happy to have you here on board and excited about the new things that you'll be doing with the library. And we're really excited about that outdoor Wi-Fi and excited for the things to come. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thanks so much, Shanae. So next we have engineering, and Doug, if you can bring in Farah Galani.
With honor, sir.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hey, Farah, good evening. Thanks for joining. So engineering is covered under account number 165 and can be found on page 45 of your budget book. In 2021, the town adopted $291,250 for the engineering department. This year, it's remaining flat, $291,250. There's three sub accounts. I'll cover them very quickly. Sub account 214, which can be found on page 46. Actually, I'm sorry, 219, which can be found on page 246, covers engineering miscellaneous expenses such as municipal stormwater permit fees, stormwater awareness program, tideland license. So in 2021, we budgeted $16,500. This sub account is going to remain flat at $16,500. Sub account 218, which is also on page 46, covers professional services, the in-house engineering consultant fees, outside engineering fees. So we budgeted $264,000 in 2021. We're budgeting the same amount in 2022, so that remains flat. And this covers zoning, residential plan reviews, other general engineering services that are not handled in-house. So that's sub-account 218. And the last one to cover is sub-account 241, which is Environmental Commission. That's remaining flat at $10,750. That covers our ANJAC dues, training, travel expenses for training, resource inventory, the environmental resource inventory. So again, that's remaining flat at $10,750. Farah, do you want to make any comments before I move to the capital end of it for engineering?
No, I'm good, Dean. Thank you so much.
Okay. So if council goes to your first page of 2022 capital improvements for engineering, we're putting in 2.5 million that's going to cover road resurfacing, traffic calming, signs, pedestrian crosswalks that we need. We plan on doing, again, roughly 30 plus streets. We do have some grants. So we'll be doing probably hopefully more than 30 streets. Again, a lot is dependent upon the cost for asphalt. So I'm hoping that what we put in there should be enough to cover the streets we need to resurface. So again, we're always a year behind. So the 2022 capital for road resurfacing will not take place until the spring of 2023. So we're at 2.5 million, but again, it gives us a little cushion when we write the ordinance for this, that it's for road resurfacing. It could be for some paths in the parks that need to be done. It could involve traffic calming measures, some of the crosswalks that we discussed, some additional rapid flashing beacons. So that will all be part of this $2.5 million. The other item is emergency sewer replacement. We always put $100,000 in there every year for that. And that really covers the streets and roads and sewer. Now, municipal facility upgrades, and that's really covered under engineering as well. We have $250,000 in there for the continuation of the DPW project. There's going to be some things that we need to do, preliminary things we need to continue to do. So we put some money in there for that. And really not engineering, but we put $100,000 in for the electronic bulletin board on the municipal green. It's in there. We may not need to use it. I'm hoping to get donations from some of our local businesses to fund that project. But this would be a digital bulletin board that would be on the municipal green that would be able to be seen both from Cedar Lane and from Teaneck Road. So I'm hoping to get those donations. If not, I think it's something it's really something we really need, and it's important to display the information. But I think we should be able to raise it through some donations. So that really covers everything from the engineering end, project wise. Farah, did I miss anything for you?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay. So again, the road resurfacing, if you look at the 6-year plan under road resurfacing, again, I mentioned reconstruction, traffic calming, crosswalk upgrades. There's 2 on Windsor Road. We have the one on Tryon Avenue as well. Moving forward, we're going to lower that number from 2.5 million to 2 million for road resurfacing. We'll continue, of course, with the emergency sewer replacements. That's at $100,000. And one of the things, I couldn't do it this year, but one of the things I said I would try to do every year is to resurface a municipal parking lot every year. Our parking lots are a lot of them are in horrendous condition. And again, we did the municipal lot in 2021. I don't think we're going to have the funds to do one in 2022, but I'd like to get one done every year moving forward. But that's generally about a $250,000 expense to get the parking lots done. Again, you have 1 or 2 injuries in our parking lots. That's going to eat up that money right there for that between legal and settlement. So it's in our best interest to move forward, trying to get these parking lots done on a yearly basis. So that's it from the engineering end. Farah, anything else?
I think you cover everything.
All right, and Farah's doing the preliminary plan for the Bell Avenue drainage study. Again, we're going to do a presentation for council soon, and then we'll meet with the neighbors, and we'll come up with some solutions to hopefully prevent the flooding that takes place in that area, improve the drainage in that area. So Farah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dean.
Okay, let's do the manager's budget. We just have 3 more to go here. So I'm going to cover my budget, which is found on actually page 1 of your budget book under account number 100. And 2021, we adopted $78,250. actually reduced my budget this year by $3,000. We're down to $75,250. And really the reason for the decrease is we took out reported software that we were using. Again, we have other mechanisms in place, including spatial data, that there's really not a need to have reported moving forward. So that accounts for the decrease, roughly $3,000 decrease. I have about, I guess, 8 sub accounts. You know, stationery and supplies, again, very minimal, $300. Meetings, toll expenses under sub account 212, that's only a couple hundred. Office equipment maintenance, $100. My manager dues, conferences under sub account 214. Basically, everything's remaining flat from the previous year. The grant writing consultant, we have that's flat at 42,000. Our public information, Teaneck Times recycling calendar, that runs us close to 12,000 every year, so that's remaining flat. Our training budget, we went up just slightly, about $500, from 16,100 to 16,600, and that really covers. There's not a lot to my manager's account, so it's basically remaining flat at. Bear with me 1 second. Flat at. I'm at 75,250. Again, the decrease is to 3,000 from not including reported. And let's go on to the council budget. Council budget can be found on page 19, your budget book, and that's council budget number 110. And in 2021, we adopted 112,000 for council. This year, we're budgeting 144,000. That's up about 32,000. There's 4 sub accounts, and we'll go over the need for the increases. Sub account 219, which is found on page 20, is $2,500. That covers any sort of training, seminars, the League of Municipalities. That's flat at $2,500. Sub account 221, that went up about 13,500. We're now at 118,000. And really, the reason for that is signage. We're putting money in there as well for the COVID-19 memorial. You know, we're putting new, I guess, signs, placards up with the projects that we're doing. So we put a few extra dollars in there as well. And that's really accounting for the increase. Sub account 245 went up about 18,500. We're now at 20,000. Again, that's for the redesigned website. We need that extra money to fund that, to get that done in 2022. And the last sub account is community relations, discretionary funding, public training. That's flat at $3,500. So council, your budget is at $144,000, again, up 32,000 from the previous year.
Thank you.
And the last one I want to cover is the clerk's budget.
Dean,
Yes, sir.
I think some members had their hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dean, I just had a quick question in your budget with regard to the grant writer. You know, that's something I think we always talk about, and just to revisit, and feeling, you know, I just recently saw, I guess we have started getting those reports again.
Right.
And just to confirm that that we are still getting the bang for the buck for the grant writer.
Yes, I certainly would let council know if I was not satisfied with Millennium. I certainly will let you know. There's not too many games in town with grant writers, but I will tell you personally, for me, Michael Weiss is our customer service rep with Millennium. I think he's great. He's very attentive to our needs. I had a meeting with him earlier this year on priorities for Teaneck. You know, he's always putting in for grants, and we do pretty well. You know, we do pretty well with Millennium. I'm satisfied. I think the other department heads are satisfied. They work very closely with Mr. Weiss. So at this point, again, I feel satisfied. I feel we're getting the best bang for our buck right now.
Yeah, I've been a critic as you know, council member of what had gone on in the past. But I've seen a sea change with the new personnel. And I think the reports that we are now going to be getting are much more clear, much more easily understood and accurate. So I agree with Dean. There has been a positive change there.
Mike has also been very proactive the last year and a half. Working with him also, he brings up a lot of great ideas too. Millennium's really ahead of the ball lately.
All right. The last account I want to cover is the clerk's account, and that can be found on page 21. And his budget account number is 120. So there may be a slight change to this. I'm going to keep it, the request as is for now. There's a couple moving parts, and it has to do with the election expenses. So in 2021, we adopted $77,209. In 2022, we're asking for $138,909. That's an increase of $61,700. And really, the increase has to generally do with the election expenses this year with the municipal election coming up in November. So there's about, I guess, a dozen sub-accounts for the most part. Well, 211, 212, 213, 214, 219, 221 are all flat, remaining flat. It just covers special projects or tents for the special events, business cards for council members, professional affiliation and dues, office equipment and clerk petty cash. So that's all remaining flat. Again, as I mentioned, the biggest increase is sub-account 223, which can be found on page 23 under election expenses. And Doug and I and Issa have had some conversations. We put 100,000 in there. We may reduce it to 90,000. We're uncertain as to how much it's going to cost us. You know, we're always getting, and Doug, you can explain this probably a little bit better, getting notice from the county for fees that we have to pay. And again, I don't want to put not enough money in the account. I'd rather go a little bit over. And but Doug, you want to talk a little bit about the election and your cost for this?
Yes, absolutely, Mr. Manager. So as we know, we're moving our May election processes and procedures over to the November election, being grouped in with everybody else. And while there might be some consolidation of costs, we saw during the pandemic some increase in costs from the county in regards to trying to facilitate these elections through the pandemic, mail-in ballots, so on and so forth. And I am aware that we will be doing the early elections for the primary and the general. And being that this is going to be the first election cycle for a couple things. A, coming back after the pandemic, we're going to need to see what that's all like. And B, it's the first election cycle that TNEC will be having our municipal election in the November general election. So we want to be sure that we have enough funds in there to make sure that we don't come up short. We have come up short in recent years. And as we come forward to November, I see a lot of hands raised. I see a lot of hands raised.
All right. I didn't see which one because I was looking at my book. So I'll start with Councilmember Oregon, then we'll go to.
I don't want to go any further until. Yeah.
I think we all have the same question.
Yeah. So if we could go back 2 years when there were two elections, one in May and one in November, if we could get the cost of what was spent then, because I thought consolidating the elections was supposed to save money and not cost more. And I know that we're comparing this to 2021 when there was only one election, but if we could find out in 2020 the cost of two elections, is it this much higher now? Because
I know in 2018 we spent over 90,000. I see Issa, and Issa was the clerk then. Issa, correct me if I'm wrong. In 2018 for the municipal and general, we spent over 90,000.
No, Dean, that's correct. And for the council, we spent actually 96,000. And that's why, Dean, myself, and Doug had this conversation about what would be an adequate and appropriate budget amount. As the former manager said, William Broughton, you can cut the budget all you want, but it's really about cutting the expense. And if you give me a moment, I'll be happy to pull up the amount spent for 2020. But remember, keep in mind, council, 2020, it was a mail-in election. And, you know, it wasn't apples to apples from 2018. In 2020, we spent $41,860 out of a $100,000 budget. And then you take that, you go back to 2018, and we spent $98,590. So it's, you know, I'm going to choose my words carefully with a certain county employee with us on council, but you get the bill and it is what it is. And there's no fighting it. There's no rhyme or reason. You know, when I was the clerk for 4 years, sometimes I've been surprised, both in good and bad ways. So it's not an easy way to pick it. I'd rather be over than under than, you know, searching for another accounts come this November.
But before any other council members ask their questions too, the main point that I wanted to make was that being that this is going to be the first election cycle with this new format, after 2022, our next municipal election is going to be in 2024. And I foresee a much more accurate and insightful budget in light of what this election cycle will look like in 2022. There's just some question marks about what the process is going to be. And like the CFO and manager are explaining, we really don't want to come up short and have to do budget transfers mid-year.
Yeah, I know Councilman Pagan's got his hand up. I just want to say one thing. I never said anything about saving money by going to November. Logically, you know, that sounds quite accurate and sounds quite feasible, but with the county having all these added costs, and as Doug would know more than I would, of these new voting machines, early voting, it's up in the air. You know, I don't know if they could actually forecast and tell us, but, you know, it's my fiduciary responsibility to plan and make sure the council and the manager have an appropriate and responsible budget with adequate costs budgeted for.
Show us the baby before you shut your camera.
Yeah, seriously.
Want to see?
Hi, Nora.
Oh, beautiful.
Sorry, I forgot I had her when I unmuted my camera.
You did not forget her. You didn't forget her. Councilmember Pagan, you look
She
anxious.
was asleep, honestly. I didn't want to wake her up.
Aw, she's
That's
beautiful.
This
So-
should keep her asleep.
It should. So Mr. Clerk, Mr. CFO, Mr. Manager, thank you. So just for clarification, it costs more to run an election in November than it does in May. And we're moving our election from May to November because of the referendum. And it's costing more because we have to pay the county to run our election, correct?
I don't think it would be. I don't think it would be an accurate statement to say that moving the May elections to November is costing us more. I think what the number that we're seeing is more of a precautionary number.
Oh, so I
Just
guess
make sure that we have a
we'll know.
safety net.
We'll be able to
We'll
answer
ultimately
this.
know in
in,
November. We'll
yeah.
ultimately know in November though, right? Because we have to
Yeah.
pay the county.
Well,
We're going to know. We're
Caution.
going to know by end of year exactly how much this election cycle will cost. You know, around
thank you.
December of this year, we will see once the county is done sending out their bills, and once we see what we do on our end. Yeah. We'll have a
Got
good
it.
idea.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Councilman Kaplan.
So just to, put a fine tune on what I'm hearing, there's a bill that comes in from the county, and whatever that bill is must be paid. And this is more than we were told is not an excuse for reducing the bill from the county. That's just, right off the top. The open question is whether the extra amount here is due to the election in general, or is there an added cost that is somehow associated with the fact that municipal is now in November? Is this just a cost that would exist as an increased cost whether or not our elections were held in May, or is this potentially, and obviously you can't tell us until then, but is this potentially an increased cost because there's more going on?
Like I said before, I believe the number that we're seeing right now is a precautionary number to assure that we have the resources to run our elections efficiently.
Right, I'm just asking, is it precautionary because the election just has so many question marks, and it would have an equal number of question marks whether the municipal election was there or not? Or did something change to increase the number of question marks based on the shift?
I think that we'd be seeing this number similar, perhaps a little higher, if we kept our elections in May. for this cycle, I think that we're trying to keep the costs similar, as mentioned, to not come up short due to any unforeseen costs that might pop up throughout the year.
And I would agree, Doug, with that statement. I mean, again, you just go by historical data. If we spent almost 100,000 in 2018, and I thought myself, I was actually trying to be kind. In 2018, I gave $10,000 back from the budget, not thinking we needed it. And that's why I was surprised, very much so, that the bill came in way higher than we expected. And so whether it was May or November, I would still make that recommendation as your CFO to put in 100,000.
So again, in December, we'll have a much better idea of the total cost for the 2024 elections. Again, we'll have the data and we'll be able to, I guess, properly budget. If we actually need 100,000, 90,000, 80,000, we'll have the data come sometime in December when all the bills are done.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's all I have. We covered really all the major budgets and capital the last 2 weeks. Again, overall, the proposed 22 budget is 76,782,698.61. The proposed 1.7% tax increase, which I mentioned, is $69 to the average household, which is valued at $388,000 or $5.75 per month. So that's where we're at. We have our budget subcommittee meeting tomorrow. We'll discuss a few things tomorrow. We'll have, I'm sure, maybe another one as well. And speaking to the auditor, he recommends that we do the introduction of the budget at the April 26th council meeting.
Okay. All right. So I will now entertain the motion to adjourn.
Motion Schwartz.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
See you tomorrow.
Thanks.
Everybody,
Good
bye.
night,
Be
everyone.
safe.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Bill Rupp, thank you for being here, sir.